Dr. Perry, thank you for joining me today. I am really excited about having you bring your methods to the United States. I've grown so much in myself personally and in my hypnotism practice by taking your courses in Italy. And I'd like to ask you some questions today to tell a little bit about nonverbal hypnotism. What is nonverbal hypnotism?
Non-verbal hypnotism technically is hypnotism you do with gaze, with hand, without speaking. I want to tell you something. I begin knowing non-verbal hypnotism, knowing a person that did it, a certain Virgilio, and created some specific states that were not even described in the books, not in the Ericksonian books, some very strong states of hypnosis.
So, in those experiences that you had, what was it that you observed that caused you to learn more about it and to dive into it?
What I observed when I began to learn Virgilio was the speed of his hypnosis, and also that people went in a strange phase like this. And this apparently there was no explanation. Books were different until I discovered both in ancient books that the state was known, a state of fascination, and also in recent books that there was a scientific reason behind that that could be explained by animal hypnosis and polyvagal therapy. So this was a type of hypnosis that was really interesting.
Now, you are coming to the US to teach a course that I took in it was called the Magnetic Path, and it features teachings in mesmerism, fascination, and presence. Could you talk a little bit about those three aspects of the course?
The magnetic path is a path that I developed in order to have people change, transform yourself. I say that you will get a result first by yourself, and secondly, obviously, you will be more able, you will have techniques to help other people to transform. Magnetism is in some way more kinesthetical, and in some way, we could say that we work more with passes, not just with passes. Passes are movement very near the body without touching it. And this it touches the kinesthetical factor, we could say. Fascination is the power of the gaze. Fascination is known since the Egyptians. And they knew very well they had the eye of Horus, the eye of Ra. They knew that in the eye was a power. And in reality, we even see that even the child, from the moment in which he try to look in the direction and toward the eyes of her mother. So we have, in some way, the eyes are a way of expressing, of connecting. We can connect even with animals, just with the gaze. And with the gaze, we touch very ancient primitive circuitry inside our mind. It's also interesting that when we are with a person, we look this person into the eyes, we create oxytocin. It means that is a neurotransmitter connected to connection. So in some way, the eyes can be also a key to connection. It's not a case that people in love, they look one to the other in the eyes.
And what about how does that relate to presence and for people who might be learning these techniques for their presence in their profession, in their lives in general? Um, how do these techniques relate to presence?
Presence is experiencing presence. This is the key point. Is a technique because we have three, four, five simple exercise. Is a path. Is a path that will guide a person to in reality change himself. and the starting point is the body. It's an awareness of the body that will do in a specific way and in a way that will transform you. In some way, it's also an hermetic alchemical pattern in the sense that you transform a matter, you transform your perception. And it links a lot to magnetism because developing present develop magnetism, develop personal magnetism. And because many people is very interested in the law of attraction, but who attracts what? Maybe you say what, but you don't have the who, and the who is very connected to presence. Otherwise, sometimes you get something, but it's not what you want, or sometimes you don't get anything. Instead, if you work on presence, or you don't have even to read the books, synchronicities will happen.
One of the things that impressed me the most in your course was the idea that presence is not just about being in the present moment as opposed to the past or the future, but in the body and in the sensations in the body. And when we've done some of those experiments where we have the hands poised above the solar plexus and the head of the subject, and we practice that in the three different ways of the distracted way and the maternal way of sort of idea of giving forth energy and loving that person or healing that person versus the third way, which really worked for practically everybody, of just being present in the body and in the experience overall. There was a powerful difference. I
Yes,
wonder
yes.
if you could
It
speak
is
to that.
the basis. You must start from the body. The ancient alchemists said that they started from the Saturn, from the lead, because it was the most heavy material. But in reality, it's also a metaphor for the body, because the body is the most heavy matter that we have, and we are with it, at least in this incarnation. So we must work with it. And if we will work with it, we can change really. It's like we create a field, a different field. And I want to say that you can even create your life, create your future if you are there. As I told, synchronicities will happen, and stuff will happen very naturally if you go on the practice of present. That, as I told you, is very simple. Simple doesn't mean that you must not do exercise, but it's simple to understand which exercise to do. And this exercise can really change your life. And also, if you are maybe on the search for yourself, you can discover something that you have never discovered.
Mm. Now, along these lines, and since you've just mentioned alchemy, and previously you mentioned Hermeticism, I'm aware that there is crossover between mesmerism and magnetism and the Western esoteric tradition for hundreds and hundreds of years. And I've done a little bit of research in that area myself and had some interesting things come up in your courses, not only things that you've said, but even when I was experiencing a mesmeric crisis, flashes of symbolic imagery that to me were very esoteric in nature, things that weren't even on my mind at the moment. And I wonder, for some of my friends and my colleagues in the Western esoteric tradition, if you could say anything about the course that might interest them.
Yes, no, this is absolutely important. I should say that Mesmer is also at a crossroad because in some way he got to know practically the different esoteric tradition that existed on his time. And so he was in different organization, in different order. We know that he was in the Templars, strictest Templar observance. We know also that he had knowledge of certain Egyptian rite, but probably he was also in contact with Pernetti and with many other people that worked in this moment in France and also in Germany and in Switzerland. And he took in his system a lot of elements that could be therapeutical because he wanted mainly to do therapy. But for the person that can analyze, he can discover a lot more. And because a part, in some ways, like he unveiled a part of the system. After already Paracelsus knew magnetismus, already the ancient told that the person should be a perfect magnet. So in some way, they already understand
Mm,
the concept. They told that the person that work on this path becomes a perfect magnet. And
mm,
what does it mean? It means that they had a clear idea of magnetism. They had a clear idea of synchronicities of what I spoke. They already obviously these paths. I researched a lot, and also I was lucky enough to be introduced by a friend of mine in many of these traditions because otherwise they are some are impossible to get. And I try to help people that is on the path. For me, it's important if a person is on the path. On the path, it means trying to work on yourself, trying
mm.
to develop yourself, to develop your inner self, to get in contact with you, to increase presence. I am very happy to help people.
That seems like an aspect of magnetism and mesmerism in the practice, even in the therapeutic context, where the self-development of the practitioner is important, and that it's not just about doing the method, and
Beh,
where maybe that is a little bit different from like the typical medical practice or clinical practice of hypnotism.
it can add a lot in the sense that if you are already able to do clinical practice or if you are already an hypnotherapist, after you will do miracles because you will increase your power. You will also change probably some methods because sometimes words are useful, but our deepest self is not verbal. So, in order to touch our deepest self, is good also to use non-verbal ways. Words, obviously, when you meet a client, you speak, and normally you have in the encounter, you say the words, but after, for example, for the induction, you don't need words, and you don't even need words. You will understand why to guide in some direction because guys a lot of different elements will guide your client. Symbols also can guide your client really to change.
I really just started learning this from you a couple of years ago, and I've already integrated this into my clinical hypnotism practice, where practically every day I'm using your techniques and these methods in my practice and finding I get deeper trances, I get sometimes more powerful experiences. I recently told you about an experience that I had with a client where you could literally it was like you could see the energy moving through his body and forming a spontaneous catalepsy in the arms and the legs, and it's really been a remarkable addition to my practice in hypnotism. After already having practiced 20 years, it added something really new to my practice that I'm very grateful to you for. And I wonder, other than hypnotists taking this magnetic path here in the US, what other types of people and practitioners have you found get something from your courses and integrate it into their work, either professionally or personally in their lives?
People got many results, and for example, you can work on your addiction, you will work on your relationships, you will work on obviously your practice, even you will have more charisma. There are a lot of results that you will get. Most important, people find a deeper meaning in everything that it does. This is really something that I can say. But I wanted also to say that you will also learn a way of looking at hypnosis. If you already know hypnosis, it's probably very good, but you will discover a different way to do it. So in some way, you will discover practically that well, you can well, it's like learning another language. So in some way, you will learn to express yourself in a new way that many times will be more effective, more direct, and more. So even if you are very expert in Ericksonian hypnotherapy, even if you are very expert in Hellmanian techniques or other types of hypnosis, Hellman and Erickson are the most known in general, you will learn more. This is sure 100%.
Personally, for you, who's someone who dedicates so much of your time and energy to nonverbal hypnotism and mesmerism, what is it that drives you so much personally to share this?
Is that it can really permits to an energy, a power that you have in you to go out. I had, as I told before, it was the luck to knew a person, Virgilio, that did something that didn't exist, apparently didn't exist after I discovered books that told it, but apparently in the main book of Ericksonian hypnosis or in the person that we met, the type of hypnosis that he got didn't exist. And this opened me the way after meeting also Jean-Pierre that worked with presence, also to understand that was a part of uh, it's a continent you discover. You discover a different way, both to help the people, both to be, and you after that you know that this stuff exists, you can really help people. I know that when I try to transmit a message sincerely, I was recently, this was a congress, there were some psychologists, but mainly psychiatrists in this, and I tried to transmit to them a message, and many of them were interested. They want to organize something in Romania probably next year. I try to transmit a message, and even this psychiatrist, that many of psychiatric works a lot with giving drugs or something else, they understand that there is something else they can do with their client, and so I know that we are, and for themselves also, we know that we can give more to the people. And so this is something uh, really it's a transformation. You will transform yourself if you come. You will help people to transform, and you enter. It's like you open a new door. Until now, there was a door and you never opened it. Now you open this door and you will discover a new. You will enter in a new universe. This is what really is learning magnetic fascination in a true universe, because this is very true. Normal people is very virtual, is very in the world. They don't see really what is what how the stuff really are, neither in their life, neither with the client, obviously. people try to get small results, but in reality they can get big results. This is very important.
I'm excited about being able to share that method with people who are already practicing hypnotism to be able to benefit their practices in the way that it's benefited mine.
Yeah, I or even people in general, yes, to me come or psychologist, hypnotherapist, even alternative medicine. A lot of people that want to practice alternative medicine come to me. Sometimes even people that want to change himself. This because in some way what I teach is also very connected to the hermetic path, and I give some keys that. Are important. Yeah, just 1 week ago, I was speaking with an Italian that had at least I don't know how many thousands of the book of esoterism he had. He was even a collector of ancient book, and he said, I have a lot of theory, but I don't have the practice, the real
Yeah.
practice. And so
Yeah.
I had the possibility to I give also the practice, what is behind.
Well said. Thank you, Dr. Perry. I'm looking forward to seeing you, and I appreciate you giving your time today.
Okay, thanks to you. See us in America, in New York. It will be a wonderful chaos. I will try to do my best to do it. We will probably organize also some online meeting more than the chaos. So this will be the occasion for continuing even after the seminar. Uh,
Wonderful.
so it is. I recently did a course in Australia. Will have next Tuesday. I have a meeting with them, and I was very happy and seeing everybody was doing was working and so on. So I wait you. I wait you in New York. Okay.